Hey, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into one of Python's biggest, most powerful features, classes. We're going to go from a simple blueprint all the way to creating these really smart interactive objects right in our code. It's going to be fun.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about the main idea, the class as a blueprint. Then we'll add the details, what we call properties. After that, we'll make it do things with methods. We'll put it all together and you'll see why this is such a game changer. All right, let's jump right in. Okay, first things first. Let's get right to the heart of it. Before you can build anything, you need a plan, right? So what exactly is a Python class?
So, a class is basically a blueprint. That's the best way to think about it. It's the master plan for creating, well, things, which in the programming world we call objects. It's kind of like a blueprint for a car, right? The blueprint spells out what the engine is like, how many doors it has, but it's not the actual car you can drive. A class does the same thing. It defines the whole structure, all the things an object can do, but it isn't the actual living object itself. Not yet, anyway. Okay, so a blueprint is great, but it's kind of useless without the details, right? The specifics. And that's what we're going to look at now, how we define those details, which in Python are called properties.
All right, this is where the magic really starts to happen. As soon as you decide to actually build something from your blueprint, think of it like an assembly line just kicks into gear. In Python, that assembly line is this special, super important method called underscore underscore init. And the cool part is, it runs automatically. Every single time a new object is created, underscore underscore init is there, setting everything up, assigning all those initial properties.
Okay, you see that word self in the code? This is so important. You gotta get this. Self is basically how an object talks about, well, itself. So when you see self.name equals name, the object is literally saying, hey, for me, this specific object that's being created right now, I'm gonna take that name you gave me and attach it to my name property. And that's it. That's how every single object gets its own unique data. But here's a little twist. Not all properties are the same. They're not all created equal. There are actually two different kinds, and you really need to understand the difference to get the most out of classes.
Okay, check this out. On the left, we have what's called a class property. See how species equals human is just sitting there outside of any method? That means it's shared. Every single object we make from this person blueprint will have that exact same property. It's like a constant for the whole group. But on the right, you've got the instance properties we were just talking about, the self.name. These are unique to each object. So the idea is every instance of a person is a human, but each one has its own special name. And once you've actually created your object, working with its properties is super easy. It's all about that little dot. You want to read the name? p1.name. Easy. Want to change the age? p1.age equals 26. Done. You can even get rid of a property completely for that one object with del p1.h. It's really that straightforward.
All right, so we've got our data, but here's the cool part. Objects aren't just boring boxes that hold information. No way. They can actually do stuff. They're dynamic, and that's where methods come in. So what's a method? Super simple. It's just a function that belongs to a class. I like to think of it like this. If properties are the nouns, the things, the data, then methods are the verbs. They're the actions. They define what an object can actually do. So, take a look at this simple greet method. And look, there's our old friend self again. That's the key. Self lets the method reach inside its own object and grab its own unique data. So when you call this method, it can find self.name and use it to do something like print a totally personalized greeting. Okay, so let's put it all together. How do properties and methods actually work together? Because honestly, this is where you start to see the real power of classes. And here's a great example. Methods aren't just for reading data. They can change it too. This celebrate birthday method literally reaches into the object, finds its own age, and adds one to it. It's such a clean way to manage things. Instead of you having to go in and manually change the age from the outside, you just tell the object, hey, celebrate your birthday, and it handles it itself. So cool. All right, now let me show you a really common situation, something you're definitely going to run into. You've built this awesome person class, you're all proud of it, and you create your first object. Let's call it P1. And then you go to print it, just to see what's in there, and you get this. This weird, cryptic memory address. I mean, it's totally useless, right? It tells you it's a person object, but that's it. Not helpful at all.
So the question is, how do we fix this? How can we make Python print something that a human can actually read and understand? Well, the solution is another one of these special dunder, or double underscore methods. This one is called underscore underscore string. And by adding this method to your class, you're basically giving Python a new set of instructions. You're saying, hey Python, from now on, whenever anyone tries to print one of my objects, forget that memory address nonsense. Instead, run this code right here and show them the result. And boom, just like that, look at the result. It's totally transformed. It's clean, it's clear, it's exactly what we wanted. This is such a perfect example of how methods give you complete control over your objects, even down to how they show themselves to the outside world. Okay, so we've gone through the nuts and bolts, but let's zoom out for a second. Why is any of this important? Why do I keep calling this a superpower? Well, it all boils down to just smarter design. I mean, imagine trying to keep track of 100 people. You'd have one list for all the names, another list for all the ages. It would get so messy so fast. Classes fix that. They give you organization because all the data and the functions for one person are bundled together. That immediately leads to reusability. You write the blueprint once, and you can create 1,000, 1,000,000 different people from it. And this whole idea is called encapsulation, keeping related stuff together. It makes your code so much cleaner, way easier to read, and 1,000 times easier to fix when something goes wrong. Look, once you really get classes, you stop just being a coder who writes lines of code. You become an architect. You're not just writing instructions anymore, you're designing these smart, reusable pieces that can represent almost anything in the real world. So really, the only question left is, what blueprints are you going to create?